Anne would have a lot of real strong personal assets. In terms of skills, the best and most impressive skill she has is that she reads, and she reads at about the third or fourth grade level. She has learned several signature dishes that she's known for baking a great homemade pie and making appetizers for parties. She has a great memory for dates, including birth dates and anniversaries, and is really good at remembering that ahead of time with people. She can also recall a lot from the past. She's got fantastic long-term memory, so she can remember things about their childhood and life experiences that maybe the other brothers and sisters don't. She's fantastic at doing laundry, knowing when it needs to be done, how to go about doing it, folding the clothes and putting them back away. She has a critical eye, which is not always an asset, but can be. That is that she notices details that other people might not notice, and so she especially notices when something isn't right and can bring that to your attention. So put to its proper use, that can be quite an asset. In terms of knowledge, Anne would know a lot about Catholic beliefs and rituals. She's a fantastic bargain shopper. She knows what things should cost, what's a good bargain, how do you find a good bargain. And she knows a lot about the University of Kentucky Wildcats, her favorite basketball team, and she knows their schedule, the names of their players, the years that they've won the tournament, and so forth. In terms of Anne's lived experience, she has grown up Catholic, and she also grew up in a family culture of volunteering, and her family would have close connections with the Red Cross and with disaster relief. Personality-wise, Anne is a very patient woman. She's kind of slow-paced, and so she doesn't mind if things take a while to either happen or get finished. She's very friendly. She'll initiate conversation both with people she knows and doesn't know in a friendly way. She's very dependable. She does what she says she's going to do, and she's timely. She pays attention to be on time. She's very understanding when things don't turn out the way folks hope they will. And she's empathic. In other words, she tends to notice how people might really be feeling before other people can. Anne has as an asset a number of large social networks, the Dittmer family, her large parish that she's been a part of for 20 years, and her neighborhood. In terms of possessions, Anne owns a lot of things that could be useful to other people. She owns a garage on the alley behind her home, and since she doesn't drive a car, it's this storage space. She owns a small piece of land off of the alley that right now sits as just an emptied lot, but would be hard to find in her neighborhood, things like that. She has a very nice, comfortable, warm, hospitable home. She's got lots of games, puzzles, board games, cards, those kinds of things that are well entertaining for people. She has a subscription to the newspaper. She has cable service with a lot of the cable channels. She owns a washer and dryer and a kitchen, including a crock pot. In terms of Anne's personal interests, one of her favorite things is to spend time with family. She reads the paper and magazine religiously. She really looks forward to going to the theater and both planning and attending day trips, and enjoys needlework, especially quilting and painting. Again, she loves watching UK basketball games. She enjoys other people's dogs. She feels passionate about right-to-life issues and Alzheimer's, which her mother would have had prior to her death. She's religious about attending Mass, and she really enjoys making and giving away rosaries. Conditions for success for Anne. That list too would be long, so for the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to highlight just a couple of the most important ones. She needs spaces that are easy to navigate. Changes in incline or uneven space. Anne has had a lot of difficulty with falling lately, and so accessibility is a big issue. She needs somebody to assist her who can both point out when there might be a stoop or a change in incline or a rail that she might be able to hold on to. She works best when it's okay for the pace to be slow. She also is better in small groups than really she even is on a one-to-one basis or large groups. So a small group of 3 or 4 people seem to be a really nice social size for her. and also benefits from kinds of things that she can do on a routine, predictable basis. While she's great at remembering dates and that kind of thing, she will lose track of her schedule. And so having a schedule on her refrigerator for a daily basis that tells her, and when those things are routine or ritual, it really helps her. And finally, she really benefits from people who can help kind of help her refocus. And would enjoy banter with people and joking and cutting up, but often takes that to the extreme. And so people who know just to kind of change the subject or change the tone of a conversation rather than continue down that road of banter is helpful in terms of helping her be successful. In terms of control, choice, and respect, Anne is legally competent. She's not, been appointed a guardian. That's not been necessary, primarily because she's really open to advice of people who care and love her, and particularly relies on my husband Paul to advise her. In fact, she'll do just about anything Paul asks her to do, and votes and takes that very seriously. She gets assistance to kind of weigh the candidates, and has as much privacy as she wants. Anne is not a good advocate for herself. In fact, she'll tell you that absolutely anything is okay, and so people, if they really want to know her opinion, have to ask it in the right way, so that rather than saying, is this okay, you'd ask her, which of these would you rather do, or pick your favorite, kind of thing. Anne has complete choice over things like how she spends her time, who she spends her time with, who works for her, what food she purchases and eats, her spending money that's in her pocketbook and what she spends that on, what her daily schedule, when she goes to bed, when she gets up, so forth and so on, are a total choice. The things that she would have less choice about, frankly, would be her overall budget. Her sister Jane, who is an accountant, manages her money and doesn't include Anne really in things like investments and how much she spends on certain things. But because Anne is so frugal, the amount of Anne has a debit card and can buy whatever she wants to with it, and it's never been outside of her budget. She would also very much like to have a pet, and her sisters believe that in the past when she's had birds or fish, or she doesn't keep isn't hygienic enough about that, and so have really discouraged and really not given her that option to do that. Anne also really would not keep her house as neat as is important to her sisters, and therefore the nieces come in and clean, and Anne loves slipping them the tenner for doing that. The barriers to Anne, in terms of a good life now, her declining physical health and strength is really has become a huge barrier, because it's really limited her access to transportation. She can no longer rely on public transportation because of the steps and not enough assistance, and really even walking on footpaths, sidewalks are not the level enough that she falls, and so she really needs assistance. The other barrier to a good life really is kind of the limited expectations of her future. It seems people seem to kind of think at 63 she had a great life, she's overcome many barriers better than a lot of people with the same degree of impairment, and therefore aren't really looking positively toward the future. The Dittmeyers would have a huge family culture that says you go to a nursing home as you're older, and she would be at risk of being seen as in need of a nursing home at an earlier age than other people in her family. Anne's poor social skills have always been a barrier. We continue to try to work on those. But a lot of people think that it has more to do with structuring the circumstances than it really does teaching her. And Anne shows very little initiative. She doesn't have a lot of motivation or kind of energy for things, and so left to her own devices, Anne would stay at home day in and day out without things to do. So she needs a lot of structure to her schedule to ensure that she's having regular physical activity and regular social contact and that kind of thing. In terms of Anne's pressing and most fundamental needs have to do with her physical strength and her health, and really trying to maintain at least what she has now. Beginning to look ahead probably for the next 6 to 10 years, and what that might look like, what a home might look like for Anne that would be less independent than what she has now, but not as dependent as a nursing home might be. So what might be an interim kind of living situation, and really nurturing the relationships that she has. Anne has a lot of relationships. She doesn't really need to meet new people as much as she needs to really show initiative and nurture the relationships that she has that could be supportive to her as she gets older.